The sword that remains in the sheath commands more fear than the one that strikes. It is the possibility of action, not the action itself, that enslaves the mind. Machiavelli. There is a type of silent power that is not measured in words or touches. It is the energy a man projects when he masters himself. And that is what awakens the sexual side of a woman without needing to touch her. Every woman feels when she is in front of someone who needs to prove nothing. He does not beg, does not seek approval. He simply exists with a presence that invades the space without making noise. It is the magnetism of self-control, what Machiavelli would call the art of appearing necessary without asking to be desired. When a man masters his own desire, he transforms it into a magnetic field. The look is not invasive, it is firm and observant, like someone who sees more than the body, like someone who reads the soul and yet does not surrender. The woman perceives even before thinking that there is something different there. She tries to decipher the mystery, but cannot. And it is in this search that desire begins. The game is not physical, it is mental. The touch is not with the hands, it is with the intention. Her body responds to the invisible energy he emanates when he breathes deeply, when he speaks slowly, when he rushes for nothing. Slowness is the secret of dominion. The common man wants immediate pleasure. The magnetic man understands that pleasure is a consequence of accumulated tension. He does not chase, he attracts. And what he attracts is not just attention, but unconscious surrender. To awaken this side, internal silence is needed. Women perceive when a man is present, but they also perceive when he is anxious, seeking validation. Pure masculine energy is calm and dangerous at the same time. It is the type of presence that makes a woman lose her breath without knowing the reason. She feels she is in front of someone who could destroy her or save her, and this ignites the deepest instinct, that of surrender. There are looks that touch more than hands. There are words spoken in a tone so serene that they become invisible caresses. It is necessary to speak little and let the silence say the rest. Mystery is an aphrodisiac, and the more she tries to discover, the more she surrenders to the fascination. The secret lies in not trying to conquer her, but creating the atmosphere so that she surrenders by her own will. The man who dominates the air around him dominates desire. He moves with purpose. He breathes like someone commanding the very rhythm of the world. Every gesture of his is deliberate. The way he holds a gaze, how he smiles without haste, how he leaves pauses between words. All this sends subtle signals of leadership and self-sufficiency. The woman captures this even if she does not want to. She feels that man could touch her with a simple thought, and because of that, wishes to be touched. This is the rarest power, making her body respond to his mind. There is no haste, there is no anxiety. There is only a growing tension that feeds on mystery, danger, and promise. And the physical touch, when it finally happens, if it happens, has already been felt 1,000 times before. In every look, in every pause, in every shared breath, the true game of seduction begins before words, before even the look. It begins in the invisible field, in that instant when two presences meet and something between them changes density. A woman feels when she is in front of a man who dominates his own fire. It is as if the air became denser, more electric. There is something in the way he observes the environment, as if he were not seeking anything, but everything inevitably sought him. He does not compete, does not try to impress, he simply is. And it is precisely this being that disarms her. Because while all other men rush to demonstrate interest, he becomes interesting through the absence of effort. Mystery is the greatest form of stimulus for the female imagination. And when she cannot decipher him, she starts thinking about him. Thinking is the first step of desire. He knows this. That is why he keeps himself whole. Every gesture is calculated, but not artificial. He does not force the look. He sustains it, does not raise his tone, speaks with firmness. His calm is a form of power. The man who does not rush teaches the world to follow his rhythm. And when he speaks to her, his words have a weight that goes beyond meaning. The intonation is deep. The pause between phrases is precise. It is as if every word were spoken directly to her body and not to her mind. The secret is that the female body responds to the masculine long before the touch. The masculine energy that emanates dominion, purpose, and calm awakens something primitive. It is the archetype of the warrior in peace, of the man who carries fire in his eyes but does not waste it. He does not need to shout to be heard, and does not need to touch to be felt. The woman observes. She notices the way he occupies space, as if every centimeter of the environment belonged to him. He leans in slightly when he speaks, but maintains a distance that provokes. This distance is an invisible line of power. It is the space between desire and control, between wanting and allowing. She feels the urge to cross this line, to be the one who makes him break his own self-control. And that is where the game inverts. He who dominates his own desire starts to dominate hers, because every woman desires to be desired. But what really drives her crazy is being desired by someone who does not surrender easily. When she realizes the man is capable of wanting and yet containing himself, curiosity is born. And curiosity is the prelude to surrender. Mystery begins to occupy her mind in small intervals of silence. When he looks away, when he steps back, when he leaves the conversation suspended in the air. She misses his presence even when he is still there. The game is psychological. He does not offer constant attention, only what is necessary to keep the fire lit. He speaks less than he could, but when he speaks, it is precise. The lower tone of voice forces her to lean in, to seek. She feels she needs to get closer to understand, and in doing so, has already entered his field of influence. It is not manipulation, it is energetic dominion. True seduction lies in awakening instinct without ever forcing movement. It is a dance between polarities. The masculine creates the space, the feminine flows within it. He does not invade, he invites. And this
is what makes desire grow, because what is offered for free becomes common, but what is veiled becomes an obsession. The man who understands this transforms conversation into a ritual. Every look is an invocation, every pause a spell. He does not try to prove anything, and precisely because of that, everything about him becomes proof of something greater. The woman feels she is in front of an invisible mirror, the reflection of a man who does not need approval to feel complete. And this completeness is what attracts her. For within her, there is always the search for someone who makes her feel safe enough to be vulnerable. But there is a detail few understand. Attraction is not about the other. It is about what the other awakens within us. When he awakens in her the mystery, the curiosity, the desire, and the uncertainty, she does not desire only him. She desires herself, feeling everything that is most intense. That is why the magnetic man does not conquer women. He awakens in them what already exists but was asleep. This is the art of touching without touching, making the other feel without even moving a finger. It is the dominion of presence, the power of polarity. It is the internal fire channeled toward something greater than pleasure itself. The man who understands this is not a common seducer. He is an alchemist. He transforms energy into connection, tension into fascination, and time into an instrument. He does not rush because he knows that desire is like a rope. The more stretched, the stronger it vibrates when released. The confused woman begins to ask herself, what is so different about him? She feels he could possess her with a simple word, but he does not say it. And it is in this absence that the spell lives. His silence speaks louder than the promises of others. And when his gaze finally meets hers, without haste, without guilt, her body responds as if it were being touched from the inside. Because there is no physical game there, the energy exchanged is subtle and intense. He does not touch, but everything in her feels as if it had been touched. There is a moment when the atmosphere between two beings changes shape. It is no longer about conversation, looks, or gestures. It is something deeper, almost invisible, as if the air gained texture. She feels this before realizing rationally. It is as if she were being observed from the inside. And the most intriguing thing is that he does nothing, absolutely nothing. Besides being there whole, calm, serene, but with an intensity that pulses beneath the skin. The secret is the energy. The man who dominates his own sexual energy becomes a gravitational field. He does not need to seek, he attracts. It is not a game of manipulation, it is a state of consciousness. he carries within himself the certainty that he is the prize, not the hunter. And this inversion changes everything. The woman, accustomed to men who surrender at the first sign of interest, suddenly finds someone who does not rush, and this destabilizes her. She begins to think of him at random moments, misses something she does not understand. He appears in vague memories, in loose thoughts. It is his energy traversing the invisible spaces of her mind, because the body responds to subtle stimuli, and the female brain is a territory of imagination.
Excitement does not begin with the touch, but with the mental image of being touched. He knows this. That is why he does not run, does not invade, does not anticipate. He plants images, words, pauses. He lets her unconscious do the work for him. And the more she tries to understand, the more she gets lost. Mystery transforms him into a mirror of her own fantasies. He becomes the stage where she projects everything she wishes to feel. The man who dominates his own silence awakens the noise inside her. Every time he speaks, his voice vibrates inside like touching invisible strings. Every pause is an invitation. Every breath creates expectation. He is not cold. On the contrary, there is heat in every gesture. But it is a contained, disciplined heat. True power is not that of uncontrolled fire, but that of the flame that remains firm despite the wind. This concentrated energy manifests in small details, in the way he observes without haste, in the deep tone that resonates, in the confidence of one who knows he needs to prove nothing. Women perceive when a man is whole, and wholeness is the purest form of seduction. The incomplete man seeks, the complete man attracts. The incomplete wants to fill the void. The complete awakens the desire to be part of the whole, and she, before him, begins to feel like an energy field in resonance. It is no longer just attraction. It is a vibratory field adjusting to another. She tries to resist, to rationalize, but her unconscious has already connected. She feels him even when he is not around, and this is the apex of seduction. Being present in her mind without being present physically. It is when the touch becomes unnecessary because the presence is already sufficient. He, in turn, does not force destiny. He understands the rhythm of things. The power lies in waiting, in giving space for the other to burn inside. Attention is the secret. When a man understands the art of not satiating desire immediately, he makes time work in his favor. Silence becomes an ally, the look becomes a promise, and every meeting a ceremony of self-control. He notices the moment her look changes. It is no longer curiosity, it is vulnerability. She looks at him and does not know what she wants, to flee or to get closer. But the truth is that it does not matter. Her body has already decided. Feminine energy recognizes the masculine that dominates its own fire. It is an ancestral language, older than words, stronger than reasoning. In this instant, the man only needs to sustain the field. It is the moment not to break the spell with haste. He speaks calmly, without leaning in too much, without approaching yet. The power is in the distance. Absence is aphrodisiac when charged with intention. He leaves the dense air cleaner, hot, but respectful. He does not touch her. He envelops her, and she feels. She feels in her hands, on her neck, in her chest, something she cannot explain. It is the magnetism of the balanced masculine, the invisible touch of energy. Because when a man channels his desire and transforms it into presence, he awakens something beyond the flesh, the memory of the primordial feminine. The woman does not desire the man himself. She desires the state he makes her feel, that of being seen, understood, penetrated by consciousness, not just by the body. The man who awakens the sexual side of a woman without touching her is the one who awakens the feminine inside her. He does not just awaken desire, he awakens life. The woman blooms in the presence of a man who knows what he is, and that is more erotic than any touch. He makes her remember her own nature, and therefore she desires him, not as a possession, but as a mirror. There is then a moment when everything becomes inevitable. Words cease, time slows down. She feels that if he approached, the whole world would disappear, and he knows this. That is why he does not approach yet, because he understands that the climax is not in the touch, but in the tension between wanting and not having. That is where the power lives. Sexual energy, when dominated, is a bridge between worlds. It is the portal between the physical and the spiritual, between instinct and consciousness. And he who learns to walk on this fine line discovers the secret of all ancient masters. True penetration happens in the mind, in the spirit, in the soul. The touch is just the natural consequence of a fusion that happened long before in the look, in the energy, in the silence. The air between them vibrates as if it were about to break. It is a silent, invisible force, but so intense that both feel it. An ancient magnetism, almost sacred, that seems to come from a place where instinct and soul meet. She breathes deeper, but does not realize. The body reacts before consciousness. He only observes without haste, with a calm look, full of intention. He does not need to move. The power lies precisely in stillness. Every woman recognizes, even if subconsciously, when she is in front of a man who carries control of his own fire. It is an ancestral recognition. The feminine feels when it is in front of the true masculine, not the aggressive one, but the centered one, the one who dominates his own inner chaos. This type of presence activates ancient memories in her, from the time when surrender was a form of worship, not weakness. He knows this, and therefore forces nothing. The secret is not to do, it is to allow it to happen. He merely conducts the invisible flow. Every word of his is a string that vibrates in her unconscious. When he speaks, it is not the content that matters, but the rhythm, the tone, the subtext. He speaks with long pauses, lets the silence between one phrase and another act like a tide that goes and comes, taking her thought along. And in the silence, she begins to get lost, Her mind begins to fill the space with images, sensations, possibilities. He, with a simple look, creates an entire story in her head, a story she herself wants to live. The female imagination is the fertile ground of seduction, and he plants not words there, but energy. The game is invisible. She approaches and withdraws, like a curious flame that fears burning, but cannot resist the heat. He sustains the gaze, keeps her trapped there without realizing. His look is not of possession, it is of presence. He sees her, and being truly seen is the greatest aphrodisiac that exists. Most men look at the body, few look at the soul. He looks at the soul, but without invading. He observes like someone contemplating a rare work, without needing to own it to feel it is his. This reverence, this containment, is what makes her body vibrate. She feels that if he wanted, he could cross all her defenses, but he does not do it. And it is precisely this choice, this silent no, that consumes her from the inside. The tension grows. She laughs, tries to disguise. He only smiles slightly. Her laughter is the reflection of her own vulnerability. She feels she lost control and tries to recover, but it is late. He makes her feel. And feeling is what most scares a woman who learned to protect herself from her own desire. He does not rush. Every movement of his is slow, measured, intentional. Time now works for him. She leans in when he speaks, seeks his gaze, touches her own hair without realizing. He observes everything, but does not react. The secret is to resist. The more he resists, the more the field heats up. Sexual energy is not what is released, it is what is contained. Masculine power is like a dammed river. The strength lies in the capacity to hold the flow, not in letting it spread. And when she realizes that he is capable of containing, her body surrenders. Feminine energy wants to be guided, wants to feel safe to open up. And security comes precisely from his dominion, not over her, but over himself. At this point, communication becomes almost telepathic. He thinks and she feels. She moves her body as if answering invisible commands. Desire is now a living force between the two, a field vibrating at high frequency. He does not need to approach because her body already calls him silently as an invitation. That is where the energy changes polarity. What was before control transforms into conduction. He lets presence speak. She observes him and realizes there is no effort. He simply exists. And existing like this is irresistible. Because the man who dominates his own energy becomes a portal. He does not seek pleasure, he embodies pleasure. And then the inevitable happens. She surrenders emotionally, not with words, but with the surrender of the eyes. It is when her look softens, when breathing changes, when her body loses rigidity, he feels. It is as if her energy dissolved, mixed with his. And even without a touch, there is a deep contact. The skin bristles, even without physical contact. Her mind creates the touch he did not give. This is the height of art. When the imaginary does the work that the body has not yet done. Pleasure begins to build inside her like a wave that grows slowly. Her body begins to attract her own mind. the heart accelerates, the blood boils, the skin becomes more sensitive. He does not touch, but everything in her reacts. At this point, the man needs to have wisdom, because the power he has now is total. He can conduct this energy to instinct or to the spirit. The common man takes it to ephemeral pleasure. The awakened man stops for transcendence. He understands that awakening the sexual side of a woman is also awakening her creative force, her feminine essence, her soul in a state of fire. He speaks little, but every word of his now is a spark. He does not say what he feels, he makes her feel. And when silence settles again, what vibrates between them is more eloquent than any confession. She desires him, but not just physically. She desires to be inside his mind, to understand what makes him so whole, so untouchable, so present. She understands then that what attracts her is not the touch, it is the mystery. It is not what he does, it is what he is. And this being is what disarms her completely. Because the man who is master of himself awakens in every woman the desire to surrender, not out of submission, but out of trust. Her body has already decided, the soul too. The touch, when it comes, will be just the confirmation of something that has already happened 1,000 times in the invisible. Because true penetration begins in the mind, crosses the soul, and only then reaches the body. And when this instant arrives, it will be inevitable. The silence that comes after the height of tension is almost sacred. It is a suspended instant where time ceases to exist. He does not need to do anything. She observes him, and both know that something changed forever. No touch happened, but the whole world seems different. Her body vibrates. The heart pulses in another rhythm. He remains calm, firm, breathing slowly, like someone who knows that power is not in possessing, but in containing. This is the secret few men understand. Control is supreme pleasure. Dominion of self is what differentiates the common from the magnetic. The common man seeks pleasure as an escape. The awakened man transforms it into strength. He is not a slave to instinct. He is its master. And by dominating instinct, he also dominates the surrounding field. He becomes the center of gravity of the universe that surrounds him. She feels this, feels that he does not desire her as an object, but as a manifestation of the feminine energy itself that he honors and awakens. This confuses her because her desire now is pure and intense, but also elevated. She does not want just the touch. She wants fusion, not just the flesh, but the spirit. And the most fascinating thing is that he awakens all this without needing an explicit word, without a vulgar gesture, without breaking the spell with haste. The man who learned to awaken the sexual side of a woman without touching her understands the power of vital energy. He channels it
He feels the fire rising from the base of the spine to the mind. He breathes it, and when he breathes, the world changes. Every breath of his is a silent prayer. Sexual energy is not suppressed, it is refined. Desire transforms into magnetism, magnetism into presence, presence into power. The woman perceives this. She feels that man is not guided by need, but by choice. He could touch, but chooses not to touch. He could possess, but chooses to remain. This choice, this renunciation, is the apex of domination. Because true power is not doing what one wants, it is being able not to do and still be desired. And at this point, she understands she already belongs to him in a deeper way than if there were physical surrender. Because her mind has already bowed, the heart has already opened, and the body has already responded. The touch would be just the echo of what already happened. He is no longer a man before her. He is a force, a presence that penetrated the unconscious. But what differentiates this type of man from the rest is that he does not get lost in the power he has. He uses power to elevate, not to consume. He awakens the sexual side of the woman, not to take her, but to make her remember her own potency. He makes her bloom. The desire she feels transforms into expansion, into vitality, and into brilliance. And that is what makes him unforgettable. The female body, when awakened this way, becomes a creative force. She begins to dream more, to smile more, to radiate a different energy. All this because a man knew how to contain the fire and guide it. Sexual energy is the same that moves the sun and the stars, and when used with consciousness, it transforms the ordinary into sacred. He knows the touch will come one day if it is the right moment. But when it comes, it will be something completely different from the common. It will be a touch of souls, because he does not seek fleeting pleasure, but the ecstasy of true encounter. The woman before him understands that physical pleasure is small, close to the pleasure of being understood in essence. And that is where the spiritual bond is born. When the awakened masculine touches the conscious feminine, there is not just desire, there is communion. He leads her to a state of presence where time disappears, where there is no longer him and her, but only energy circulating, exchanging, growing. It is a sacred field, and who has felt this once never returns to the common. That is why he does not need to chase. The man who learned to dominate his own desire never begs for love, attention, or validation. He knows that true magnetism is born of silence, discipline, and mystery.
The woman can try to forget him, but will not succeed, because he did not stay trapped to her body. He stayed imprinted on the mind and soul. And that is where the art completes itself, when the touch becomes unnecessary because the presence is already sufficient. He awakens desire in her, and she awakens serenity in him. The feminine bows before the masculine, and the masculine bows before the mystery of the feminine. There is no winner, there is no conquest, there is equilibrium. The man who awakens the sexual side of a woman without touching her is the one who understood the oldest secret of alchemy. Fire must be honored, not wasted. He carries the firm look of one who knows that pleasure is just the echo of well-conducted energy. And she, before him, does not desire just the body, desires the spirit that inhabits that body, the silence that speaks, the mystery that protects. And thus the cycle closes. The invisible touch was deeper than any caress. Her body now keeps the memory of his presence, like someone guarding a rare perfume. And he leaves without promises, without goodbyes, leaving only the field vibrating. Because the true man does not bind, he marks. The woman will be left with the sensation that something divine passed by her, that a man made her feel what no other managed, even without ever touching her. And this is supreme power, being remembered not by what was done, but by what was made to be felt. And he knows that this is the maximum point of seduction. When silence speaks more than words, and absence becomes presence, he leaves tranquil, with serene conscience, because he knows he does not need to conquer the world when he already dominates his own inner universe. The art of awakening the sexual side of a woman without touching her is not about techniques, tricks, or rehearsed words. It is about presence, energy, dominion, and spirit. It is about looking and being the look, breathing and being the air, existing and being desire. It is about understanding that the true touch is that which happens in the invisible, and that the invisible, when felt, is never forgotten.